Still loading. And we're off. Let's go. Let's get it done. So today we're talking trade rumors, free agency, potential lands. This is Real Deal Fantasy HQ with your boy LQ. And we are going to get into the trade talks. Now, my boy Tyler joining me today. My man's the rookie specialist, the assassin, straight killer. My boy Tyler, introduce yourself, bro.
Yeah, so obviously stepping out of the rookie range today, I don't want that to completely surround me, but I do have a lot of knowledge on some other things that I want to get into. Obviously, the rookies are my main pounding content, but love to get to other things as well. Obviously, I'm playing in a bunch of leagues that involve a bunch of sophomores, juniors, and so on of players in the NFL. So I know a good bit, and I'm ready to get a little bit of that knowledge out today.
Let's go. Let's get right into it. What do you got first for the QBs going into free agency? Who we got potentially landing where?
So So obviously, my number one quarterback coming in to free agency is Dak Prescott. Don't see anything coming out of him at all. Unfortunately, I think this is what is it? A very flashy quarterback class, but not with a lot of moves. Unfortunately, for people that like to see a lot of action go into free agency, Dak Prescott stays for me. He's going to get the franchise tag. He's going to roll with Dallas. I think next year could be very interesting on what they want to do. I think his 2020 season is going to scream Dallas's move, um, and whether or not he does really successfully, I think he could, um,
Yeah,
which will lead to him getting re-signed. But as for now, franchise tag city is where he's gonna be headed off to.
I definitely agree. I don't see Dak leaving anywhere. He's Jerry Jones guy. I don't see him moving anywhere. I think it's like right now it's like hype. People just questioning where the hell he's going to go, and
Yeah,
it's good entertainment. It's good free agency entertainment, but I don't think Dak's going nowhere at all. Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not a place where I think he's going. People, it just is what it is. Because like he's a Jerry Jones guy. They're going to pay Dak. They're going to tag him. They have like a couple weeks until they tag him, but I think they'll end up giving him the contract he deserves. So
Mhm.
there's nothing much there. Who you got next?
So next guy, we're gonna throw them both together. Drew Brees is staying in New Orleans. He did announce that he wants to come home for at least
Hmm.
one more year. I think he's got one more year left. I think what he's really trying to do is make sure Brady doesn't steal any more of his passing records. But there's no other home for Drew Brees but New Orleans. They'll be happy to bring him back. They will bring him back. They'll probably keep Taysom Hill with him, kind of groom him into the next quarterback, or maybe they'll draft someone. But Drew Brees will be the 2020 starter for the New Orleans Saints. And then the next guy, Tom Brady, would love to see him go somewhere else. I am a
Yeah.
Dolphin fan, so I would love to see him leave, say goodbye, get out of our division. But he's staying.
Retire, bro.
Sorry, yeah, right, retired too. That helps. No, but
Get
I
him
think
out of here.
he'll go at least one more year with New England. Obviously, there's some attractive offers out there from Oakland and a few other teams that are dabbling in that. But I really just think it's Brady trying to squeeze as much money out of New Orleans as he can. Sorry, New England.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're gonna let him test the market, see what hits, and then eventually they'll probably just match whatever the hell he wants. Because at this point, it's kind of like, let's think about it. Tom Brady leaving New England. Like, what does he benefit from that? You know what I mean? Like, it'll destroy his legacy. I feel like it's not enough motivation for him to leave, being that he has so much done in New England. Like, really, do we see him going to Oakland and then Patriots get Derek Carr? Like, what? Like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, it doesn't even make sense at all. Because it's like, I would hate to be a New England Patriot fan and then get stuck with Derek Carr for the next 5, 6 years. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't work like that.
Well, and I don't really believe that it's a guarantee that that'll be what happens, where Derek Carr will go to New England if the Brady dynasty ends. But I do believe whether or not he goes back to New England, they're going to draft a quarterback, and I think a quarterback that's going to work well with Belichick is a guy like Eason, especially with today's NFL. I think you can get him at the end of the first. That
Yeah.
may be a little high for his for where his capital should be, but he needs a coach that's going to work with him and stick with him. And I think Belichick is unbelievable with what he can do with quarterbacks. Obviously, with Brady, not saying that Brady didn't help out. So you see, we get into this argument who's
Yeah,
impactful for each other's dynasty. But either way, I can see a guy like Eason going there and grooming behind maybe Brady for one more year, or if not, I don't see Belichick bringing in a rookie quarterback and starting him immediately. I don't really
no.
think that's his vibe. He'll bring in someone to cover at least a few years, but I think Brady goes back.
Yeah, Brady goes back for sure. I mean, we could spend all day on this with different scenarios, but I think Brady stays. There's no point of him leaving. Honestly, there's no motivation there. Like I don't see him like unhappy there. I don't see him really like money hungry there. I just see it like just being smoke and mirrors, just something to talk about at this point. You know what I mean? So it's nothing like too crazy.
Yeah. So diving into my next guy, who's going to end up being my next two guys, Phillip Rivers and Jameis Winston. This is going to be a very hot take, maybe a little bit. Both are going to go to Tampa. So a little bit insane. Why would they go and get two quarterbacks? Well, I think they can sign Rivers for 1 year, and they can sign Winston for at least 1 year. Play the situation out. Maybe have Rivers coach Winston, develop him, at least have another voice in his ear with Arians. And just a shout out, $90 million in cap for Tampa this upcoming season.
Big money, big bags, people.
So third most going into this offseason. They really just have to re-sign Shaquille Barrett on the defensive end. But outside of that, I mean, why not?
We got money to play with. I mean, I like Rivers to Tampa, but at the same time, I hate it because I want people to understand Winston had a career high this past season. Fantasy wise, real life wise, yeah, he threw 30 interceptions, cool, whatever. 33 touchdowns, cool. 5,000 yards he also thrown. 2 1,000-yard wide receivers, bro. It's kind of like it was like the entertainment was watching him throw interceptions, but this is something we already knew with Winston going into fantasy. I've been saying this for the past 2 years. Winston comes with the bag of interceptions. So if you're in a fantasy league where it's like -4 or 6 for interceptions, you don't draft Winston. But if you're in a league where it's like -1 or 2, okay, you can afford that with Winston because he's throwing at least 3 touchdowns that game. So it's like it's nothing. You really don't see the difference in the points. So with that being said, I feel like Bruce Arians hasn't lost faith yet. I think he's going to bring in a guy that I'm going to mention later on in my spiel of like free agency, and I think they'll be set. You know what I mean? Rivers coming there does give that veteran ear that Winston probably does need to be like coached up. But at the same time, it's like Winston didn't do terrible. Like people are throwing him under the bus only for his interceptions. So if they bring in the guy that I'm going to be talking about later, then the interceptions will drop dramatically. And this will be like the Winston that we honestly wanted and needed. So it's like with Rivers coming there, it'll be good, but then bad at the same time. Because I feel like they'll be wasting money on 2 quarterbacks. Like, because you have to pay Rivers and you have to pay Winston. And you have the cap money to actually play with. So why not sign Winston to a 2-year deal, like how they were thinking about, which would be like ballpark 30 million. But that's the same thing you get if you tag him and then bring in Rivers, which you're going to have to pay at least 20 plus. So that's a lot of money that's going through there that's like not really worth it. I say you sign Winston for the 2 years and then play with the rest of the money in free agency and come bring in the guy that's going to change that offense and have them take the division. This will be the time to take the division if I'm the Bucs. You know what I mean? Like, Breeze is on the way out. Atlanta's going in like shambles, but Matt Ryan pisses me off with fantasy. If you fact check me with this, bro. He's hot, cold, hot, cold. That's literally what it's been with fucking Matt Ryan. And it's like crazy. Like this last season, he was just selling a lot of mid. And it's like, what the hell? You were just on fire season before. Like he was like top 3 quarterbacks, and then the next season he's barely top 10. Like, what the hell happened? So this will be the time to take that division. And then Panthers, we already know the situation, man. It is what it is.
Panthers are going to need a year, which may bring up our next guy if you want to go ahead and jump into that.
Let's jump into it.
I struggle with Cam Newton because if Ron Rivera is still there as the coach, he's moving out. But now that we have a new coach in there, I don't know. We've never seen what and now he slipped with Matt Rule. We've never seen Matt Rule in the NFL. We've never seen him with the ability to trade away players. So who knows? I mean, how can we assume he's going to make a move on a guy that he's never worked with, he's never had the opportunity to work with, and that he's never even traded before. So, obviously this is a new thing for him league wise. But maybe he plays around with Newton for a little bit and
Yeah.
see what he wants to do with him next season. But I don't know.
See, I'm like, I don't know what Cam Newton, like, this is like one of the question mark players that I don't know because it's a new coach. I don't think he's going to ship off a veteran quarterback just because of, some old injury or whatever it is. But, like, I think he'll give Newton a chance. He'll kind of play with him to see what happens. And then maybe, we'll be in this same conversation a year or two from now. You know what I mean? So I don't know if he immediately ships him off, but I feel like Cam Newton's on his way out eventually. You know what I mean? So that's one of the ones I'm unsure on. So that would be something to.
Yeah, and in the NFL, I mean, gosh, we do not see trading very much. I mean, so I have a baseball background, played about 10, 12 years personally. So our trade deadline is huge. There's a lot of moving parts because in baseball, you can just step on a team and you're still stepping into the batter's box. You're still playing defense. Nothing really too much changes. But in the NFL, around the trade deadline, you got to learn a whole new system when you move teams. And as an NFL quarterback, it doesn't translate and work immediately. So I think it's going to be hard to see any move at the deadline. So you're right. I think next season is going to be where we see maybe a Newton move.
Yeah, that'll probably be something that we'll be sitting in the same boat with questions like, it's only been 1 year. We don't know if he's going to, it all depends. I think Cam Newton benefits if he stays. That gives McCaffrey, still some value. If Cam Newton leaves, I mean, McCaffrey's still Mr. 101, but then I do see him declining somewhat in fantasy. So that's something to think about also. That's a good one. So hopefully that gets figured out soon. Mm-hmm. Who else you got?
So got two more here. Obviously a hot name coming off of 5-0 in 5 starts for the Saints. Teddy Bridgewater.
My boy Teddy.
I loved him coming out of college. I think he's done really, really well for himself, rebuilding himself back up as a name in the NFL. I got him going to the Chargers. I think it's an offense that just needs a more electric quarterback, a player that can do a little bit more with, extending plays and obviously with mobile ability. I think they have a good team. Obviously, death with injuries this year, not much you can really help with that. But I think he can step on the field and they can start improving fairly quickly.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, Teddy needs another shot to be a starter. I think it was unfair, for the Vikings to deal him off how they did. But Vikings went and got their guy, you know what I mean? And then him going to the Saints was kind of just him getting the shadowing of Drew Brees and, trying to get back into rhythm to be a starting quarterback. So I definitely think he deserves another shot to see what he can do. It all depends. It can go bad, you know what I mean? And you're not paying him that much. I heard he's looking for big money. I don't think he's going to get it. I think that's just him, just taking a shot of like, all right, who's going to pay me $30 million? But I don't think that's going to happen. So we see him getting signed in like the 22, 23 million era. But like, it'll basically be a 1-year prove it deal, and then they'll reconstruct this deal if he goes off. So I definitely want to see him with the Chargers because the Chargers definitely need to keep their pieces in. Like with Rivers leaving, like some people don't understand that's a big loss that the Chargers just took. Now you got Tyrod Taylor there, and then they're going into the draft, obviously trying to get somebody. So I think them bringing in Teddy, it's like at least 1 or 2 steps up from a Tyrod Taylor. So they still have a chance to have Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Eckler, and even Gordon might stay if they bring in Bridgewater. So it's like it's all moving pieces that need to stick together to keep the Chargers in contention with some type of playoff dream because they're up and down every year. Also, they have a bunch of missed field goals where they miss plenty of games. There's 2. I think it was a year ago where they lost 3 games just by a field goal or 1 point, something so stupid like that. So they were just out of a kicker. So they always had the talent.
Obviously, we're doing this for fantasy purposes. Playing with where free agents are going to go can be fun. Where they go is very, very important, though. And I think if
Yeah.
Bridgewater does go to the Chargers, you got to see some draft stocks going up for guys like Keenan Allen and
Oh, yeah.
Hunter Henry. If he stays, obviously we'll get into the tight ends.
Yeah.
But drafts, it's got to go up because I definitely think it's an improvement over Rivers.
Hell yeah. I mean, I think them moving on from Rivers was the best thing they could do. They need to change. They need to change right now because they're a playoff team. They have the young talent there. So it's kind of like now is a win now situation. So we need to go all for it.
All
Who's
right.
next?
So finally, my last quarterback. This is a fun one. I don't think enough people are talking about the potential of this happening. It's going to be Marcus Mariota. He's not going back to Tennessee. He's going to Chicago. So obviously, we talked earlier about Newton not leaving yet.
Yeah.
And I think a factor of this is Chicago going out and getting a quarterback that can compete with Trubisky. Whether or not that's completely moving off of him, I think Mariota is a good enough quarterback to provide a threat and cause a quarterback battle, and he could win that job. And why I wanted to say this is his old head coach at Oregon, Mark Helfrich, is the offensive coordinator at Chicago. Chicago. So I think there's a little bit of a draw there. I don't think Mariota would be afraid of going to a place like that with a coach he's familiar with.
Familiar with, yeah, that definitely helps, definitely. Because I like the Bears situation only being that I don't want them to waste a draft pick on a quarterback when they could just pick up Mariota. Like that would be like a solid pick. It's not like exactly moving 100% from Trubisky, like you said. It's like kind of giving him some type of competition. Like bringing in another quarterback that can play will put some fire under Trubisky's ass. Like, all right, we need to play like this. You know what I mean? So that's always good. I mean, Mariota to the Bears is cool. I also wanted to just throw it out there, like, why not the Jags? You know, Foles is hurt always. Foles is mediocre when he goes to other teams other than Eagles, Philly. So it's kind of like, are you trusting Foles? Are you trusting, like, that he could be healthy, that he earned this big contract where he can play? So why not have Mariota go to the Jags?
Yeah. Well, so just in comparison to the Eagles situation, remarkable O-line with the Eagles, dreadful one with Jacksonville. Obviously, the wide receiver threats aren't really a remarkable difference unless you're a big truther of Alshon Jeffrey. I mean, so, the wide receivers isn't a big drop-off. But I think with a quarterback like that, you got to have a line behind him, backing him. And I don't know. Foles just doesn't – I just didn't think that situation was going to work from the start. I think he was kind of just a one-hit wonder, but mainly because of how good the Eagles were. I wouldn't discredit Foles as a quarterback, more or less just how good the Eagles were and how much of a drop-off in talent there was going to Jacksonville.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, the only upgrade that he had was running back, which in – Fournette. So, like, nobody knew what, DJ Chark would do or D.D. Westbrook. We didn't know if these guys were even being in conversation to be drafted or have any fantasy value. So I did like, the contract they gave Foles, actually. And, like, he earned that. So Foles, let's be honest, Foles earned that money. After all the shit he's been through, Foles earned that money. But it should have been in a different situation. It should have never been the Jags. Yeah. So he could have got that contract elsewhere. So where he had some valuable wide receivers or whatever the case may be. But we went into the season with Foles hurt. So it's like we really didn't get to see Foles at 100%. He kind of came back from injury trying to fight for his job, to play up to his contract. So we didn't really see a calm, cool, collected quarterback back there. And again, their O-line was trash. So he was just in a messed up space, a terrible situation. So I don't know what happens with Foles. Maybe the Jags move on from him. Who knows? That could be something that's happening behind the scenes to trying to get him out of there to bring in the real guy, or they're going to go with my man Minshew that, I don't think is really the good idea. But, a lot of things can go on. So I'm actually going to keep my eye on that and see what happens.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that's my only views on Foles. I think they've already played the free agency game. I think if the Jacksonville Jaguars do want to move on, it's going to be through the draft, and they'll just keep living this quarterback nightmare that they have built.
They can't get rid of, bro.
Yeah,
they cannot get rid of. Like, they're low key like on pace with like the Browns. Like, they can't find a quarterback, bro. They just cannot. Like, Bortles was trash since day one, and they stuck with him for so long. And it was like, when are you gonna move on? Like, you need to like let him go like now. And they just stuck with him. So maybe they do that with Foles. So who knows?
So, do you want to go ahead and jump into your wide
Maybe
receiver?
into the running backs.
Oh, you want to jump in? Let's do it then.
Let's jump into the running backs because there's a few that I think will get picked up in free agency and just surprise trade. So I'm gonna start off with my boy Todd Gurley. I got Todd Gurley either going to the Bills, Falcons, or Dolphins.
Ooh.
Now, hear me out. Now, Sean McVay basically said he's going to sit down and talk to Gurley about his future, and time is ticking. So they have until March 20th to either ship him off or if he's staying. So March 20th is basically when he gets his signing bonus. So, I mean, I would ship a guy before that, before you pay him big money and destroys our cap and dead money. So they have until the 20th to ship him off. Now, if he goes to the Bills, that gives Josh Allen a real threat at running back. A dual monster with Singletary and Gurley back there. Come on, bro. That will shift the whole AFC upside down, bro. The Bills will take over that division. I mean, who they got? Let's be honest. You think the Jets are going to be in contention? You think Dolphins are doing anything the next 3-4 years? And you got Brady out. So this will be the time to take that division. I'm all for it. All gas, no brakes on this trade. Send him to the Bills. That will do Josh Allen.
Hey, I love that. I love that because I think they're going to spend their first round pick on an elite big receiver, whether it be a guy like T. Higgins, maybe mess around with Chenault. But like, man, if they can add an elite running back to that as well, plus and run a combo with Singletary, don't put all the
don't delete Singletary at all. Have him like he'll be a PPR monster if Gurley gets there. Like Gurley right now, his situation, he's the running back that is running up the gut, trying to get the outside, and he's also the running back trying to get the catches. If you lighten that load for Gurley, which will extend his health, you'll get the full value out of his contract, and then you have Singletary running out the backfield doing what he does, also catching passes. Like you're splitting up the duties there, so that'll be perfectly set up for Josh Allen to have that option. Like they're both good at catching the ball, but let's be honest, Gurley catching the ball at the backfield, that's more risk to his knees, and you want to have him like at least 60-40 between him and Singletary on the field. Like you want Gurley's contract to live up for what it is. We want to extend the life of his knees. Like arthritis is nothing, to be played with. So I think him going to the Bills is a perfect situation. He won't exactly be the guy in that backfield, and it'll lighten the load. Like right now, he's in LA, and you got Malcolm Brown, and then you got freaking Devin Henderson. That's like not really taking any load off of Gurley. Like Gurley is like basically demanding the attention, demanding to be on the field. So when they go and throw Malcolm Brown back there, they're like, okay, we obviously know you're not running the ball. So it's kind of like, come on now. So I think that trade will need to happen, like for draft picks, obviously. But I think that honestly is the best situation out of all the options in the league for him to go to Buffalo.
Fair enough. Hey, I'll roll with that. Real quick question, though. Do you think it drops Gurley's fantasy value?
Oh, hell yeah. Fantasy-wise, that drops his value crazy if it didn't already. You know what I mean? Like, last year, he was going in the second round still. People still had faith. Let me just say off of my league, he was going in the second round. I mean, honestly, I wasn't touching Gurley until the third or fourth round, being that I know the knee situation. I know they're going to try to cut carries, cut snap time and percentage and all that other stuff. So you already went into that season knowing that. So with him going into the Bills with a split situation with Singletary, that drops it significantly, like to maybe the fifth round, honestly. Yeah. So Singletary obviously will be the guy that I will get before Gurley, if that ever would happen in scenario for PPR purposes, because I'd rather have a guy that can run the ball and catch the ball out of the backfield. Gurley will simply be there for red zone, goal line, and like other shit, first down, third and 4 situations. You know what I mean? Like he'll be the third down back. So it will kind of morph him into a different running back, but it still will be serviceable. You know what I mean? He'll still be a guy that will get you some fantasy points week to week, 10 to 15. So next season, I'm looking for Singletary to be the stud that he is, give me 15 to 20 points averaging a week, being that he will be the guy.
I could roll with that.
Hell yeah. I mean, and like Gurley going to the Dolphins, that's just a situation that where they obviously need a running back. They can make a splash in free agency, going ahead and getting a quarterback or getting somebody in the draft, the mirror Devontae Parker. Like it's a lot of things that the Dolphins can do since they don't have Adam Gates there anymore. So it's like it's very interesting to know that Adam Gates had us thinking Ryan Tannehill sucked and Kenyon Drake sucked. So yeah, there's that. But I'll get into that a little bit later. But also the Falcons. I mean, Gurley loves Georgia. Let's be honest. Like Atlanta was right where he needs to be at home. So I could see that move happening just off of being like hometown favorite, hometown hero. So I would like to see him in the Falcons jersey. I mean, Devontae Freeman no longer serviceable. You got Ito Smith. He's okay. But if you bring Gurley to the Falcons, he brings a whole another dynamic to that offense. And that's definitely something Matt Ryan can use right now because Devontae Freeman just isn't cutting it right now. So that's my take on that. But definitely the Rams have into the 20th to make this move. I mean, before he gets a signing bonus, hopefully it does happen. I mean, I love Gurley. I'm a diehard Rams fan, but it's just business. Just business, bro.
Mm-hmm.
So next, I got my boy DJ David Johnson. I got him going to the Bucks and only the Bucks. I don't see him leaving. I mean, I don't see him going anywhere else but the Bucks. Like the history is there. Bruce Arians had him the elite running back in fantasy football. He had him Mr. 101, no question, in 2016. You know what I mean? So if he rekindles with Bruce Arians, just think about the dynamic of what Winston can do now. Those interceptions now drop. You have a running back who can run the ball. That interceptions will drop because you have a running back that can run out of the backfield and catch the damn ball. You know what I mean? So Ronald Jones is not cutting it. I don't care what he said. I don't care what Bruce Arians thinks he can make out of Ronald Jones. He is not the answer. David Johnson going to the Bucks makes so much sense, bro. It's not even funny. Like they're in a situation also where they can take that division right now. They need to go get David Johnson. I cannot scream this, tweet this, Facebook it, MySpace it enough. Bruce Arians needs to go get David Johnson right now. That's my only thing that I got to say about it. Because look at it. They have a bunch of money. Like, they have a bunch of money to play with, bro. And, like, $14 million cap, that's nothing to them with an elite running back. Like, people are still scared of what we saw last season. You know, he had basically, like, -1 points in, like, week 7 or week 8 or whatever, and then he was injured. And, bro, it was the system. He wasn't made to operate in that system under Kingsbury. It's Kyler Murray's team now. Larry Fitz is on the way out, so they're also going to have to address some issues into the draft. Not saying that Kyler had a bad year. He actually had a great year as a rookie, so they just need to add some pieces to that team, eliminate David Johnson, get some picks out of it, or whatever the case may be. But I think the move is perfect for David Johnson to the Bucs.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any other place he can go to and get positive regression but
Nope.
Tampa. And if he goes to Tampa, I would take him in. I couldn't guess what round. Maybe third. I can flirt
Third
with that.
round, I'll take it. Early third. If I got the early third pick, I'm taking it. Like, I'm working hard on that. Like, he's probably going to fall to, like, maybe the third or fourth round, but this is based on if he stays in Arizona. Now, I might be the guy that reaches on him, but I think I'm going to get my bang for my buck for David Johnson in the third round.
Yeah, and as far as, like, dynasty startup drafts, if you guys have them going on right now, I would stay away because obviously Arians isn't a guy that would openly maybe try and make a move like this. I would love for him to. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But if you're drafting maybe in the next few weeks before free agency hits, push your draft back. But if you are, I would definitely I would try and stay away because it's a great idea, but it has to happen. And
it has to happen first. Like, I definitely wouldn't recommend just going out there and just balls deep in it right now. But you know, it makes so much sense, man. It couldn't have made any more sense any of the years of free agency that David Johnson goes to the Bucs for Bruce Arians. Like, come on, bro. His 2016 season, phenomenal. It just doesn't make sense for him to go anywhere else. Yeah. So next, I got Le'Veon Bell leaving. Going to Miami, sitting in the South Beach, Mr. 305 Le'Veon Bell. Now, the Dolphins have a ton of cap as well. They have basically no running backs back there. And Bell, Miami, does make sense because they need to make some moves. They got Devontae Parker showing up and showing out. Now let's go get an elite running back. I don't think this year him averaging 3.2 yards per carry is fair because look who his head coach is. Trash. Adam Gase. We cannot coach running backs, bro. And you get an elite running back, and then there's behind the scenes shit going on, basically saying he didn't want him, to be on the team. Like he didn't want to pay him that expensive contract. Like $13.5 million for Bell, that's a discount, bro. Let's think about the stats he's putting up in Pittsburgh. That's a huge discount. So the whole holdout was like he took a loss, but not really, because at the end of the day, he got a long-term contract, and that's ultimately what he wanted from Pittsburgh. So the money he got a little light on, but I think ultimately it was like he wanted that insurance of his like long-term longevity of like being compensated for what he actually did. So it makes sense, for him to go to Miami because they need to make some moves. They need like an elite running back like ASAP. So I think him going there, it's a good balance, between them going out to get a quarterback, obviously, because I don't believe in Ryan Fitzpatrick, able to handle an elite running back and then keep on going this chemistry he has with Devontae Parker. Let's be honest, Fitzpatrick's 34 years old. How much longer can he do this? So that's where I'm at with the situation. So again, Adam Gase had us fooled thinking that Tannehill's trash, Kenyon Drake is trash. Let's get an elite running back there in Miami and see what happens.
Well, hey, I love it. Right now we have Todd Gurley and Le'Veon Bell. I think we can function with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I get your point. Even if one of them do land up with Miami, they're consistently building. I don't think it's gonna immediately be a better situation than the Jets, but I mean, talking 2021, 22, Bell's gonna be happy he got shipped there if this happens.
Yeah, if that happens, he'll definitely be happy stuff because there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes in the Jets locker rooms and GMs, head coaches, whatever it is, like the staff, like. There's some going on, and not many people are talking about it. There's a reason why Robbie Anderson wants out. I mean, he's not going to get paid big money, but he knows that, so he still wants out. So, like, obviously something's going on.
And so, I love it. I love every minute.
Unfortunately, Sam Darnold, he's stuck at the moment, so it's kind of like we're not going to get much out of him. His value goes down in the market because he's probably not going to show us anything. He's not going to take that next step to be one of the top guys, or at least play to the next level. He hasn't shown us NFL level football yet. And I'll say that just to say, like, it's not really his fault. He didn't get the right development. He doesn't have the right head coach. He does have the pieces, though. He does have the pieces, regardless of your coaching. You do have the pieces. You have Robbie Anderson, Bell, and, like, you have these, like, up-and-coming, like, wide receivers, like, what's his name, Quincy Enunwa or whatever? Dude, he was number one target the first 4 weeks until he got injured, and then he came back and was kind of sluggish. But it's kind of like you have these guys, you have these weapons, you have people that are able to stretch the field, and you have Le'Veon freaking Bell. Like, I don't want to hear it like 100% coaching staff fault. So we just haven't seen NFL football on yet. So unfortunately, he's stuck. We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. So next running back for you, what do you got for me?
Melvin Gordon. Now, this ain't much to go into, but I think he stays in LA. The Chargers are desperate right now to keep pieces intact. Now, if Gordon leaves, they're not necessarily losing like a huge part of that running back group with Eckler there, but they're losing some type of star power to keep that team intact. So again, they don't have a quarterback right now. Like that at the moment, they do not have a quarterback. I'm not counting Tyrod Taylor. They need to keep Gordon. Gordon needs to stay in LA. They're desperate right now, so they want to keep them moving pieces. The next quarterback they bring in, they want him to have the set pieces to have that elite talent at wide receiver and Keenan Allen, have that elite talent in running back situation. Unfortunately, they're probably going to lose Hunter Henry. To be honest, I think he's on the move, but we'll get into that in a moment. But they're going to try to keep as many pieces they can together with Mike Williams on the other side. They're going to try to keep, their players happy. They're bringing a Mariota, or they're not going to bring in a Teddy Bridgewater with just Austin Eckler. You know what I mean? I don't think that's going to 100% work. It only worked out because they had a veteran quarterback. You know what I mean? So again, we might see some lost progression in Austin Eckler's production and maybe volume if Gordon stays, but I think they need to keep Gordon there to keep some of those set pieces so they can have something actually going. You know what I mean? So if Gordon leaves, Hunter Henry leaves, they're stuck with no quarterback, possibly a downgrade from Rivers and Austin Eckler. So that's just how their situation is looking at the moment if they decide to move on from Gordon. So I think it only makes sense for him to stay, being that he's not really asking for too much money. So let's be honest. He's asking ballpark between Le'Veon Bell, which is 13 and a half, and then 16 million. That's a high price for a running back, but at the same time, you have to pay him what he's owed. Like, let's be honest. Gordon's been a consistent top 10 running back in fantasy and PPR format. So it's well earned. You know what I mean? Pay him his money. It doesn't make sense to string it out this long, have him hold out. I mean, the guy just ultimately doesn't want to get hurt, and then his value goes down in the market because he got hurt. So it's kind of like pay him now, pay him what he wants, keep the team intact, and move forward. And hopefully, you bring in a quarterback that can keep that team in playoff conversation.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, I can roll with him staying with the Chargers. I mean, there's not really too many teams, hunting for a running back outside of maybe drafting one.
Exactly.
So why not? I mean, you're bringing in, hopefully, if in a situation where they bring in both Bridgewater and keep Gordon, that's going to help him out. Obviously, keeping Eckler as well. I think what will happen is they'll start functioning it to where it's a two running back committee. They'll do a little bit more leaning on Eckler, and it'll keep him at least more healthy. Which when he's on the field healthy, he's a really good running back. So I have no problem with him staying with the Chargers. Probably keep his value up if he does, knowing he doesn't have to learn a new offensive system.
Exactly.
Not that it's too much of a challenge with running backs, but anything helps.
I think it just makes so much sense for him to stay, and I don't see, like you said, much people out there grabbing. Not much is out there like saying like, oh, we need a running back right now. So I think the Chargers keep him, they pay him his money, and everybody's happy. You know what I mean? So hopefully that happens. But my next running back, I just want to throw out there. I really don't want to get into it because it's kind of like an unknown. Lamar Miller. What the hell's going on? Lamar Miller hasn't been talked about, even questioned about. I mean, Carlos Hyde is up for free agency also. I mean, they got Duke Johnson there. Like, what are they doing? What the hell are they doing right now with Lamar Miller and then Carlos Hyde? So, like, last 3 years, Lamar Miller has been selling a lot of mid. So it's like he's not really like an attractive like running back that people are going to go out and grab. So with that in the same motion, it's like, why does Houston need to keep him? So it's like he's like a kind of unknown. Like, I literally have no idea where he could go. Like, to me, it feels like he's like a Chiefs running back where he could go to the Chiefs and maybe revamp his career. But I don't even see that happening. Like, I don't know. So he's like one of the guys that I'm like unknown, like, to where even drafting wise. Where do you draft Lamar Miller, or do you draft him at all? Like, this might be the first year he goes undrafted, being that he's in the unknown of like what the hell is going on. Like, say that he does leave Houston and he ends up somewhere like the Eagles or somewhere like that, because Jordan Howard is also on the way out. So like he ends up in the Eagles, I think it's like the same thing. Jordan Howard, Lamar Miller, like there's no change there in that offense. And we already know Miles Sanders is going to go crazy this year. So I just don't have a set location where he's going to go. So I don't know. What do you think about it?
Yeah, obviously missed the whole year with injury. It's the story of his career. Most of his seasons ending in injury. It's unfortunate. I think he's a really good talent. Houston, his two places he's played in his career, not teams with great offensive lines. Obviously, Miami's a mess, always there. And he went to Houston with no O-line. Even after they added Tunsil, never did Miller play behind Tunsil. So it's hard because you see these really talented guys never really get solid opportunity. You feel like they could, and unfortunately, there's just not a situation for it. And if a team's going to go out and grab a free agent running back, it's not going to be Lamar Miller. So I definitely believe he's going to start fading away, which is unfortunate. But you get to about age 30 for a running back, you're just out of the way.
Yeah, you're just unless you're Adrian Peterson, which he is not. So that's just very unfortunate. He's just going to end up fading away to just nothing because he could be great. It's just like again, he's not set up for success, and he got hurt last year, so that doesn't help his value at all. So unfortunately, Lamar Miller's going to end up fading away.
Yeah.
Who you got for tight ends?
So it's not a very attractive class, but there's a few names. Austin Hooper. I think he's probably going to stay with Atlanta. I think he can impact any team he does go to. And if he does leave Atlanta, I think Calvin Ridley stock, buy it as high as you need to. But I don't see him leaving. Obviously, it's like the running back class. There's not a lot of teams that need a tight end. There is New England. We'll get into a guy who I think could probably go there. But no, I think Hooper stays. And he's a pretty good guy. Pretty good tight end to stay for Atlanta. Continue providing Matt Ryan a really solid target there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it only makes sense that, they also pay him what he's earned and let him stay. Like, him going anywhere else doesn't really, make sense. It doesn't, it's not needed. You know what I mean? So, I think it's common sense they keep Matt Ryan's weapons there in Atlanta. So that I can see actually, coming to light that, he ends up staying. So hopefully these other teams are reaching out to him. He's just kind of shooing them away because Atlanta, they're gonna pay him. You know what I mean? They don't have the most cap, but they're gonna pay him. He's definitely earned it.
Yeah, looking 4 years, $10 million a year.
Yeah,
I think they'll get him under.
They're gonna be cutting some cap, so losing Devontae Freeman, so that helps also.
Yeah.
So,
next guy, Eric Ebron. I think this is the tight end that goes to New England to continue the tight ends being picked up in free agency by New England relatively cheap. Consistently every year they sign a new veteran tight end to come into their system. We do forget though that Eric Ebron's only 26. I mean, we always talk about how he's 45 or something, but he's still relatively young. And I think if New England wants to get a guy that's gonna be a solid target right off the bat,
yeah, especially in the red zone too.
Yeah. So Eric Ebron. What are you going to get out of him? It's always a mixed bag, but I think Belichick can run with him. And if Brady stays for another year, I think maybe they get a 1-year deal out of Ebron and see if that works. Because obviously you're looking for something to mend with Brady after losing Gronk. So I mean, anything. You just start trying stuff at this point.
It's going to be hard, but I think the next guy you got coming up can probably do that.
Yeah, Hunter Henry. It's hard for me to predict where he's going to go because again, tight ends are a little bit more challenging to kind of figure out what team will grab him. Obviously, we saw Eric Ebron go to the Colts last year for a 1-year deal, and I wasn't expecting that at all. So I think tight ends have an ability to go anywhere. Teams always want to. Some teams don't even have any, and they never grab a guy. So Hunter Henry, you have interest in him going to New England. I want to hear that.
Hell yeah. I mean, I feel like him going to New England will be a premier pickup for them. He definitely can. Well, he can't fill the shoes of Gronk, but he can bring another dynamic to that.
Yeah.
Definitely. As long as he stays healthy. So with that being definitely said, if he stays healthy, he can end up being, a very valuable tight end from fantasy time. So again, this is all based off if Brady stays. I don't think we'll get that top 7, top 6, tight end out of Hunter Henry if, he's hurt or if there's no quarterback there. Brian Hoyer, not happening. Derek Carr, not happening. Andy Dalton, not happening. I just don't see it happening other than Tom Brady being there. So that is definitely a question. I mean, there's really no other options out there in the market that Hunter Henry can go to that would get paid big money. Or maybe he stays in LA and they actually, pay him as well, that $10, $11 million a year. But that'll be pretty stupid being that he's been hurt, back to back. So it's kind of not really he's not really attracting that much, big bag money, but he will get paid. So the talent is definitely there.
Absolutely. So, finally, I got a quick shout out for Tyler Eifert. Again, the fact that I have to throw a shout out for Eifert means this class of tight ends in the free agency market is just, it's nothing. So, light shout out for Eifert. I think he's the fourth best guy coming out.
Yeah, I mean,
Where's he going to go? Who knows? Who
who
knows
knows, man?
if he doesn't just go back to Cincinnati. I mean, he's like a light Hunter Henry.
Yeah,
Except,
the great
obviously
value
older.
version.
Yeah, obviously older, but like the injury game plagues him.
Yeah,
And I think Hunter Henry's just a bit more talented, so obviously he'll get the opportunity before, or at least a
yeah,
better opportunity, which is unfortunate because I remember Tyler Eifert at his peak when we were looking at him and Kelsey as like the top two fantasy tight
for
ends.
real. I remember those years. Yeah,
But
so,
he's a mixed bag. We'll see where he goes. But yeah, tight ends are very, very slim this year, so we'll see what happens with that.
hell yeah. So wide receivers, I got Stephon Diggs. So this is tricky. So
Yeah.
I got him going to the Eagles, Patriots, or he stays with the Vikings.
All three fantasy
Yeah.
points.
Yeah, for real. Because I would like to see him and Wentz hook up. I think that would give him a nice option at wide receiver, being that they're trying to move on from Alshon Jeffrey. But I do believe Diggs needs help. So I don't think if Stephon Diggs understands that he's a solid wide receiver too. I don't really see him being the star player. I don't see him being like the wide receiver one that demands double coverage, that demands a constant look. So I think a lot is playing in his head, being that he's getting overshadowed by Adam Thielen, which it's like it happens, bro. Like most of his fantasy points, like all his touchdowns were all 20+ yards thrown to him. So it's not like he's getting the grinding fantasy points, week to week, because we've seen what he did the first 5 weeks, and dear God, he didn't even peak 6 points. So yeah, that just proves it. So when Adam Thielen got hurt and we saw the little flashes of him, wide receiver one week to week, it wasn't consistent still. So it wasn't like we saw Diggs step out and say, "Look, I'm stepping up, being the star player." We didn't really see that. So it's like him thinking that he could hit free agency and be the star player, be the number one breadwinner. I don't know if I can trust that in fantasy. So with him and Wentz hooking up, I think he needs help from the other side. So with that being said, I think him going to the Patriots also, again, we've been covering all night. Basically, it has to depend on Brady staying. I don't see him wanting to go there and have to basically start over. He'll basically be starting over with a nobody at quarterback. So I don't think that's like the last on my list that I hope that happens. That he goes to the Patriots before even knowing Brady's are staying. So other option I would like, it's like a dream. You know what I mean? Being that I'm going back to Diggs being a wide receiver too. I would love to see him be on the Packers, bro. Packers would be like a revenge game, perfect setup. I mean, he'll be in the same situation, but him being wide receiver two to Devontae Adams, but he'll have a huge upgrade at quarterback.
Yeah.
So that could be possible. I would love to see that revenge game. I mean, he needs to just stick with being the option number two and just do his job. You know what I mean? But how I'm feeling with him deleting Vikings, all over the social media, he deleted everything related to them. He's basically showing
Yeah.
I think it's just attention. It's basically his card that he's playing where all right guys, you guys are gonna move me or you're gonna pay me big or reconstruct or move Adam Thielen. It's him just playing in his head and trying to play in their head. It's a mind game. He's explained his frustrations with the Vikings throughout the year. So it's kind of I would love to see him go to the Packers. That would be my dream scenario.
So Diggs is a wide receiver one in my mind with the right quarterback. He's never going to get it in Minnesota,
Nope.
but he definitely could be. He could definitely be a great wide receiver with Tom Brady behind him. Obviously, quick shout out to my Madhouse Twitter, posting just absolutely fire content of Diggs wanting to go to the Patriots and all this fun stuff. Just trying to break the news before anyone else can. But yeah, no, I love the Patriots move. I've loved it since free agency. I think it works. I think it gets an electric outside receiver that you can use as a very big threat and keep Edelman in the slot.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
a very, very attractive wide receiver for me, especially when he gets to a good quarterback, which you won't find with Cousins. Cousins isn't going to elevate wide receivers.
Ooh.
Like,
He just does his job and pass short.
yeah. So I see Diggs being very, very productive in the right situation. I'd love for him to get moved. It would increase fantasy value. It'd be a very, very attractive player to go grab in startups. I need him out because I think he's being capped on his potential right now.
Definitely is. I mean, Adam Thielen demands the double coverage. He demands, the constant looks. He's demanding the targets because we've seen him, flash wide receiver one consistently through the weeks. I mean, he went like 5 games of like 100-yard games. Like, bro, I haven't seen Diggs do that once. So it's like he needs to just understand his role and just be happy. But like you said, he does have some wide receiver one potential. He just doesn't have the quarterback that can feed him that. So he just honestly needs the chance. I mean, I'm going to throw it out there also. I mean, Jimmy G is not that great of a quarterback in my opinion, but I think he could have something special with Diggs going there. I think he's definitely a step up from Sanders. I mean, Sanders is on the aging side, but, he's still serviceable. But I think Diggs going to San Fran will be interesting also to see.
Yeah. Well, Emmanuel's also a free agent. Do you have a spot for him at all, or do you think he goes back to San Francisco?
I mean, with that being said, I think he goes back to San Francisco.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think he wants to leave. I mean, there's really no contract talks at the moment. There's not anything brewing, but it's still a bit early. I mean, we got the next couple of weeks where something might happen where we, start hearing some rumors, but I think he honestly stays. I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, Deebo Samuel's, he's probably going to kill it next season. Then Sanders on the other side could be great, but then why not add Diggs? I mean, honestly, I think Diggs is better than Sanders. I mean, with the potential that we possibly seen. But Sanders, again, is on the agent side.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't want to pay him like a big contract. I wouldn't want to pay him long term, if you understand what I'm saying. So
yeah, no, I got you.
That's my take on that.
Mm-hmm.
So my next guy, I got AJ Green going to the Eagles, Jets, Redskins, or the Lions. Woo!
I love the Eagles take.
Let me jump into the Lions real quick. That was my last one. That's like kind of my dream scenario. But hear me out of why it might not happen. So I think the Lions need to change the culture there. They haven't won anything in like forever. They have been this whole yo-yo up and down of like being good one year, sorry, and Matthew Stafford injured or whatever the case may be. But AJ Green will bring like a huge dynamic to that offense with, Kenny Galladay over there. Got Marvin Jones still being serviceable in the slot. So I think that'll be a perfect setup that they will have a solid wide receiver core that Matthew Stafford can just take his picks, because I was like confused why Golden Tate was ever traded, because I'm like, what? Why? He's your most productive wide receiver in that core. And I know you guys believed in Kenny Galladay stepping up and being that wide receiver one, but god damn, Golden Tate was eating fantasy-wise on the Lions. Like, he was averaging 90-plus receptions a year.
Yeah, well,
so I didn't understand that.
That had a huge impact with his upcoming free agency and understanding they weren't going to sign him. I think they got like a 3rd pick or some shit like that.
Something trash.
Nothing impactful, but like, again, you're right on the right track. They've got to change some things. And I think a talented wide receiver, and I think if they stack it like this, they get Green and they draft a rookie wide receiver just to have Galladay and that rookie just learning from Green, even though, Galladay's right at the point where this is his peak of his career. Just anything more, it's gonna help fantasy value. And why not?
Why not at this point? It's kind of like you guys need to change the culture. You need to bring in something fresh, something new. Why not AJ Green that thinks he can still play him? He has something to prove. He's playing with a chip on his shoulder. So if you give that weapon, that energy to Matthew Stafford, something can happen, bro. That could be something special. I mean, like, they have a tough division, but right now is the time that you guys need to make a move and make some, some type of noise in the division, because like right now the Lions are a laughing stock right now, bro. Like, nobody's even scared of them right now. Like, their running game is like mad mid. It's always been mid. I mean, Kieran Johnson, it kind of sucks that in one of my leagues I took him in the 3rd round and I got completely burned come playoff time. So it's like, god damn, bro, like, what the hell?
Well, that situation is really just a consistent injury problem. I mean, it
Yeah,
started in Auburn. It did not end in Detroit, and I don't think it ever will, which is
yep.
really unfortunate because he's an incredible talent.
Hell
But
yeah, man.
injuries, we've played the injury game already with a few of these guys we've talked about. It doesn't
Yeah,
help.
it's just unfortunate. And then like AJ Green going to the Eagles. Now, if the Eagles can pull off this dream like scenario that I have, where they get AJ Green and they sign Robbie Anderson, which is my next guy that I'm going into. So him going to the Eagles brings obviously an elite weapon. Outside of Alshon Jeffrey, he's on the move. So AJ Green coming there will give Wentz that number one wide receiver with elite talent, and then that can elevate the Eagles again back into the talks and playoffs and in that division being the top dog. So that would be great to see. And then also I mentioned the Redskins. Now that will be a nice situation for AJ Green, being that he'd be the clear number one, obviously. And then you got Terry McLaurin that is basically going to shake shit up on the draft horses come draft day. So you got Terry McLaurin and you got AJ Green. Why not give the weapons to Haskins so that he has something serviceable to work with? I mean, like, he has a promising running back in Geis, but again, he needs to stay injured. I mean, not injured. He needs to stay healthy. So, like, if he can have an AJ Green to have an elite weapon, I believe Haskins can take that next step to be NFL ready. Like, going into the draft last year, I said this kid does not look ready. So I think he entered the draft a little too early. He should have took one more year of college and then went into the NFL. So I think he needs that extra push. He needs that help. So he needs the weapons. So if you give the Redskins AJ Green, come on, bro. He has an elite option where he can probably be set up for success there. So
Yeah,
that's something that I would like to see also.
and my rookie knowledge is cracking in right now. I don't think he would have started behind Fields. I don't think he would have stepped in that quarterback room and been better than Justin Fields. I think he had to go, which is unfortunate. It just means he has to develop more in the NFL. And
Yep.
Ron Rivera is going to be a great coach for him.
Oh hell yeah, that's what he needs.
Yeah. So I think he's in a better situation just with the coach, and you add a wide receiver that could, with a veteran experience, could help a lot too.
Oh hell yeah, man! AJ Green to the Redskins. It kind of is like something that Ron Rivera needs. He needs to make a splash right now. Also, like the Redskins are in a state where they need to win now. Also, I mean they were on the right track when they had Alex Smith. Alex Smith went down with injury. They were doing okay when they had Case Keenum, but they weren't taking that next step to be the top dogs in that division. So right now, with a young quarterback in Haskins, he's not terrible. I just don't think he's like NFL ready. He's not like something that we're seeing out of like who's out there killing it right now. Drew Lock. Let's say Drew Lock. Drew Lock is going to take that next step because he's NFL ready. The way he's slinging the ball. So it's kind of like I want him to take that next step, but I just don't see it happening next season with Haskins unless he gets this elite weapon in AJ Green.
Yeah. So you had the Eagles as a take as well. This is my prediction on where he's going to go. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on that.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think he, like we talked about with, goodness gracious, now it's losing me. Stephon Diggs with the Eagles provides a dynamic outside. They need someone. I think going through the draft is definitely a route they have to take, but do both. We talked about it with the Lions. I mean, draft a guy, and then get a veteran receiver to help him out. We talked about it the same with Rivers. I mean, it goes a long way when you have a guy that's been doing it for a long time, helping out a young rookie receiver. It helps the kid out a lot, and it grows, and it helps the team too, because it's able to get them a really, really solid wide receiver in the now with the veteran, and it's able to get a guy that they can trust and lean on later on in the franchise's career with the rookie that they draft.
Yeah, I mean, like they have so many options they can do, and again, they have that badge where they could say they're the top dogs of the division, being that we've seen the Cowboys go up and then come down. Seen the Cowboys, make playoffs, first round exit. So the Eagles, they have a Super Bowl ring recently that they can basically shove in that face of everybody in the division. I mean, the Giants aren't going to be making noise. They're still in the rebuilding stage. They're not making noise for the next couple of years, to be honest. So I think right now they need to find that elite wide receiver, like you said, and then hit the draft. It's it's just the time. Like timing is so perfect right now for them to keep doing what they were doing, to keep the ball rolling. They have an amazing coach, so why not just go out and make that splash and get in a premier wide receiver?
Can't hurt.
So next, I mean, I'm gonna be quick with this one. I mean, I don't think anything is gonna happen. I do think he does want out, but I honestly don't see it happening. But OBJ, it's obvious that he needs out in Cleveland. I mean, I got him going to San Fran. Obviously, the Jets are going to be a constant option, being that they're losing so many pieces. But like the Jets definitely won't work out. It'll be the same exact situation he'll be dealing with in Cleveland with Adam Gates there. Again, we have to touch on terrible coaching. And then the Patriots, again, we're going to be talking about if Brady's not there, there's no point for OBJ to go there. So it's kind of like, where else could he go? San Fran. I think San Fran's a perfect fit for him. He's in a different space, a way better climate, better atmosphere. You'll see a happy OBJ in Cali. Everybody loves Cali, the Cali vibes or whatever like that. But maybe that's bad for him. That's when we'll start seeing a lot of the off-field distractions and all this other stuff. So, like, it's like, I hope somebody's in his ear, management, agents, whatever, basically saying, like, if you move to San Fran, you're going to have all these distractions.
Yeah.
There's no distractions in Cleveland. So, hopefully, they find an avenue where he can go somewhere where it's, like, completely safe. It's not like they have a bad culture or anything like that, but, like, I just don't see him immediately leaving Cleveland because there's not many better options out there, and there's not many teams that want to deal with his drama. Like the last, couple months we've seen him in the offseason, it's like we've seen nothing but negative things. So it's like I don't know if that market is there for him it's like a demand to go get OBJ, come get OBJ. Like all we've been hearing is OBJ saying, come get me, or hinting like he wants out. Like we haven't seen teams that actually like demand like, oh, we need OBJ on our team right now. So with the off-field situation is kind of what messed him up. And like the San Fran atmosphere and climate could be good, but it could be bad. So it's like, I don't know. I don't think he leaves Cleveland immediately. I think they give it another shot. I think that, Jarvis will at least try to put in his ear, convince him to stay. Like it's not a terrible situation as much as like we're seeing it, with numbers wise, games wise. It's like they have a quarterback that wants to win. They have an elite running back in Nick Chubb. And they also have Kareem Hunt, which I probably think he's probably on the way out also. But if they keep Kareem Hunt, you got two elite running backs. You got a stellar wide receiver core. You got a nice tight end out of David Njoku, who may be on the move also. But, again, there's a lot of moving pieces. That offense was meant to work. On paper, just didn't have the right, coaching staff behind Baker to actually get this offense running. Like the defense is fine. Like the defense is without question, a good defense. It's just that offense just needs to click. So we only seen 1 year of Baker, Odell, and Jarvis. So maybe if we get this next year, maybe something will change. Maybe coaching will, be better. Maybe, Odell will get his second win and try to clean up his act. And we'll see what's going on. So I still have faith that Odell stays in Cleveland, but it's like, again, there's not really that much demand that we see, as of right now, like teams needing Odell Beckham with all his baggage and all his drama.
Yeah. Obviously, just a quick shout out to another team. I think Oakland is in the market for a splash receiver with going to Vegas. But, again, we're living in the world of distractions, especially in Vegas. So, can't see that working out for OBJ. But, yeah, I think he stays at least one more year in Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like it's a sucky situation, basically. I mean, I wanted to work in Cleveland because, like, on paper, they were, like, such an elite offense, and then, like, it all fell down to shambles. So, other than that, I got nothing else on OBJ. One guy I do want to shout out, though, Dez Bryant. He needs to be talked about, bro. So, I got him going to Denver, bro. Give Drew Lock the weapons he deserves. I mean, if you give Drew Lock Dez Bryant, I think Dez Bryant can still play. We've seen him on film training for his past couple months. We've seen him recently just, catching passes with Pat Mahomes. So that's also good to see that he's still operating, he's still moving, he's healthy. So a healthy Dez Bryant, I think, will bring a great weapon to Denver, and then it will take the pressure off of Sutton. Because Sutton needs help right now. I mean, obviously, Courtland Sutton is basically the guy in Denver. So value-wise in fantasy, it's high, but then the regression can be there, being that teams will just simply adapt. Like they have no other options. So I think Des Bryant comes there. He takes the pressure off of Sutton and brings great value and great volume and production to that offense. So I would love to see Des Bryant in Denver. And you got to think about it. I don't think him getting released from Dallas was much more of like a talent thing. I think it was more so like politics, behind the scenes bullshit, and then his contract. Like he wasn't living up to his expensive contract. If he would have settled for a reconstruction, he would still be playing in Dallas. You know what I mean? So like I don't think it was more so his talent. It was just like he had an expensive contract and he wasn't like really living up to it, and also adding to that factor the politics that was going on. Jerry's guys, or whatever they call it.
Yeah, I'm surprised you're not a big Deshaun Hamilton truther with Denver.
No,
I agree with you. Another
show me
target,
something, boy.
yeah, right?
Yeah,
I agree with you. Another target is huge for them.
Yeah, because I mean, Des Bryant will definitely be something attractive there. That'll make a splash in Denver. That'll give the Broncos fans something to just love and get hyped up about the season. Because right now, I think they're selling a lot of mid in the hype. Defense is still defense. They're still good. I mean, Philip Lindsay, I'm not too happy about. I'm not exactly saying like he was like the great running back that we thought he was going to be last season. Royce Freeman is being held captive there, and we will never ever see Royce Freeman go off like how we want to go off, being that he's splitting with Lindsay, which is retarded. Like, come on, let him out. Like, let him out of that cage. Like, you got a freaking tiger caged up right now, bro. Like, let the Rolls Royce out one day. Just let him just take off.
Yeah.
So that's an unfortunate situation there with Royce Freeman, but I think Des Bryant going there would be awesome. I mean, like, Jesus, that would be like another dream scenario that I would love to see. So, what else you got? I'm all good on running backs and my wide receivers. I think we pretty much covered everything. I mean, damn, we got an hour in, bro. It didn't even feel like it. It felt like we've been here for like 25 minutes.
8-time flies when you're having fun, right?
Yeah, cool, man. This was a great experience, a great show. We had a couple people watching, got people coming in and out. I mean, it feels good. I mean, we got my boy Javi with the Flames, and we got my man Luke saying just keep killing it. I mean, I think we did pretty good today on the show. I definitely want to have you on more often than not. I mean, we got to hit some mock drafts. We got to keep on going with this rumor report. I think that a lot of things will be shaken up, between the combine, free agency, and then obviously NFL draft. So definitely want to get you on and keep the show going, man.
Oh, yeah. And, very excited to start putting out some, like, draft content as well. Obviously, I'm pushing out a lot of rookie content on a few different channels. We're very excited for this year. I think there's a lot of potential for a really excellent fantasy season. Some solid free agents coming in. We just addressed today. I think this is a really, really solid playmaker draft for teams. So, I'm very, very excited for how this offseason is going to start playing out.
Hell yeah, bro. I cannot wait. Like, I miss fantasy football so much, bro. We all understand that draft day is basically Christmas Day for everybody. So,
it's a
cannot
gift.
wait.
It's a gift.
Glad to have you on today, man. I got some shit to handle. I got some shit to do. But I guess I'll see you later. And I'm glad everybody was able to tune in today. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Real Deal Fantasy HQ, your boy LQ, my man Tyler, the rookie assassin. All right, bro. Have a good one.
Yeah, see you, man.